我哋而家夠鐘。
It's the appointed time. We have a quorum. Let's get started. First agenda item. Information papers issued since the last meeting. No information papers has been issued since the last meeting. Technicians. Yes. Is my mic on? Am I coming through? Interpreters. Technicians. Can anyone help deal with the issue? Still not coming through? Can you all hear me? First agenda item. No information papers have been issued since the last meeting. Second agenda item. Items for discussion at the next meeting. There are 2 papers. The next regular meeting will be held from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. on the 9th of December. The administration suggests that we discuss the following items. First, proposed amendments to the Chinese Permanent Cemeteries rules. And second, Leisure and Cultural Services Department Museum Development Plan. If members have no objections, these are what we're going to discuss in the next meeting. All right, agenda item 3. Briefing by the Secretary for Home and Youth Affairs and the Secretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism on the Chief Executive's 2024 Policy Address. Please refer to LC paper number CB bracket 3 820/2024 bracket 03 and LC paper number CB bracket 3 820/2024 bracket 04. Let's invite the government officials to enter the meeting room. We have a number of government officials attending today's meeting. I'm not going to read out their names one by one. We have Ms. Alice Mack, Secretary for Home and Youth Affairs. Mr. Kevin Young, Secretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism. Mr. Clarence Leung, Undersecretary for Home and Youth Affairs. Ms. Shirley Lam, Permanent Secretary for Home and Youth Affairs, as well as a team from the Home Affairs Department. We have Ms. Vivian Song, Permanent Secretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism. Mr. Raislin Lau, Undersecretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism. Mr. Yuen Tak Keung, Head National Games Coordination Office. Ms. Winnie Chey, Deputy Secretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism. Ms. Winnie Choi, Acting Director of Leisure and Cultural Services. Mr. George Choi, Commissioner for Sports, and we have a team from the Commission for Sports. Ms. Alice Mack, please give an opening remark. Thank you. The Chief Executive has delivered his 2024 policy address. We have submitted a paper to the panel. I will brief members on the key areas of our work and then will respond to members' views and questions. The government attaches great importance to youth development. Since late 2022, we've released the Youth Development Blueprint. The HYAB, together with other policy bureaus, has been deepening its work on youth development and launching new initiatives to nurture young people. In this year's policy address, the HYAB puts forward a number of new initiatives that demonstrate the government's determination to promote youth development work on a long-term basis. In August this year, the HYAB successfully organized the inaugural Youth Development Summit as the opening and highlight of the 2024 Youth Festival. The summit brought together speakers from different regions and attracted 2,400 young registered participants, including about 500 from the mainland and overseas. The HYAB plans to organize the second Youth Development Summit in the second half of 2025. and will enhance the scale of it to turn the summit into a large-scale youth event and facilitate youth development. Last September, the HYAB set up the Youth Link to link up participants of different government youth programs and offer them opportunities to develop diverse talents, as well as strengthen their communication, interaction, and trust with the government. The Youth Link currently has over 10,000 youth members. To strengthen cohesion among young people and provide a gathering place for ongoing interaction with Youth Link members, the HYAB will set up a physical platform for members of the Youth Link in the Namcheon District Community Center and the adjacent Tongchao Street Temporary Market, which includes multifunction areas, a youth culture and creativity bazaar, and small-scale performance spaces dedicated to youth development projects and activities. This is to provide additional activity space for young people. Apart from the above facilities, the HYAB will continue to strengthen its communication with young people. We'll make use of the HK Youth Plus youth-based mobile app and other online media. The HYAB has been actively promoting diversified youth exchange and internship programs outside Hong Kong to enable young people to experience in person the latest developments in the mainland and the world. In year 2024 to 25, the HYAB is providing young people with over 7,000 internship placements and about 50,000 exchange places. There are also enhancement measures. For example, the pilot scheme on subsidy to grassroots youth for participating in exchange activities outside Hong Kong will continue to provide young people with suitable internships and exchange programs to enable young people to develop a correct national and global perspective. To expand spaces and network for youths, the HYAB will create a youth development facility in the Kai Tak Community Isolation Facility to create spaces for mainland, overseas, and young people to stimulate their creativity. The HYAB is preparing the tender document in consultation with relevant bureaus and departments to select a suitable organization for operating this new facility. Our target is to conduct the open tender exercise by the end of this year, and the facility will progressively commence its operation within next year. To support young people to develop their potential, the government will establish a new interactive space and a video studio at the Youth Square. We'll also launch a new round of the funding scheme for youth life planning activities to provide funding support for NGOs. The Hong Kong Jockey Club will make a contribution of $300 million for the initiative. In response to young people's aspirations to have their own living space, the government has launched the Youth Hostel Scheme and expanded it 2 years ago by subsidizing NGOs to rent suitable hotels and guest houses for use as youth hostels. We have set up a task force to offer targeted support and technical advice, including assisting relevant NGOs in negotiating with hotel owners to speed up reaching agreements. The number of hostel places under the two schemes has increased substantially from about 80 when the current term government took office to over 3,000 at present. The government will continue to listen to the views of young people and relevant stakeholders on the blueprint and will review its contents. We attach great importance to the healthy development of families and the promotion of women's development in Hong Kong. Over the past year, we've implemented a number of new initiatives. For example, in April this year, we established a dedicated Women Affairs team and the post of Commissioner for Women Affairs. We also organized the first Family and Women Development Summit in early October, launched the One-Stop Family and Women Information Portal, and introduced a maintenance mediation pilot scheme. Last month, the Family Council launched a brand new 5-year funding scheme on the promotion of family education with an annual subsidy of $8 million. To promote women's development in the workplace, the HYAB will establish a network run by leading women from all sectors and launch a mentorship program called She Inspires. The scheme will be implemented on a pilot basis for 2 years to match local female university students with senior management mentors and provide related training and activities. This is to help female university students equip themselves and contribute to the community. We'll also encourage women's groups and NGOs to make good use of the Women Empowerment Fund to help women develop their potential, enhance themselves. The government will work with the Women's Commission to create an enabling environment for women to ensure that they have equal access to resources and opportunities in the community. On the family front, to enhance work in relation to family building, family education, and family values, the HYAB will cooperate with the Family Council to organize a Hong Kong Excellent Family Awards in 2025 to promote good family values. The HYAB will work closely with the Family Council to organize different types of activities and through various channels promote family core values and a culture of loving families. In 2023, the government implemented the proposals on improving governance at the district level, which included strengthening the district governance structure and reforming the district councils. In relation to strengthening district governance structure, the Steering Committee on District Governance and Task Force on District Governance, established in July last year and chaired by Chief Secretary for Administration and Deputy Chief Secretary respectively, have been steering and coordinating different bureaus and departments at the central level. The HYAB and the Home Affairs Department will continue to render full support to the work of the Steering Committee and the Task Force to ensure that district work could be carried out effectively, thereby enhancing the sense of satisfaction of the people. Regarding the district councils, the new term DCs have returned to constructive and rational discussions with a focus on district issues that are of people's concern. They are providing more professional services. The HYAB and the HAD will continue to lead the DCs in ensuring effective communication between the government and the people and will continue to arrange trainings and subsidy programs for DC members to enhance their capabilities in discharging their duties. The government has been committed to building a caring and inclusive society and providing support for the ethnic minorities. To alleviate the inconvenience they face due to language barriers, the HAD will engage one more support service center for EM starting from the next year. Together with the existing Center for Harmony and Enhancement of EM residents, these centers are going to provide interpretation and translation services for EMs. The licensing regime under the Property Management Services Ordinance has been fully implemented since last August. Currently, all property management companies and property management practitioners must be licensed pursuant to the statutory requirements before they can provide PM services. As of the end of this September, over 790 PMCs and over 14,600 PMP licenses have been issued by the Property Management Services Authority. Around 10,000 buildings with deeds of mutual covenant are managed by licensed PMCs. We will continue to work closely with the PMSA to ensure smooth implementation of the licensing regime. The government has amended the Building Management Ordinance to encourage owners to take part in important procurement decisions of their buildings and to improve the transparency and accountability of the operation of owners' corporations. We will launch a series of publicity and education initiatives to assist OCs in complying with the requirements under the Amendment Ordinance. Also, we have extended the Building Management Professional Advisory Service Scheme to all 18 districts. We will continue to assist owners of 3 new buildings to set up OCs through local organizations. To strengthen the support for 3 new buildings, we'll launch the Joint Property Management Scheme on a pilot basis. We'll test out the JPM approach in selected pilot subdistricts. The neighboring or nearby old buildings in the subdistrict will be jointly managed by the same PMC to share out the management fees to enable old buildings and 3 new buildings to receive basic management services at a more affordable cost. The district care teams form an integral part of the government's efforts. A total of 452 district care teams were fully launched in Q3 last year, and the achievements in the past year are evident to all. The government will regularize the setup of care teams and increase the amount of funding by 50% in the next term of service. In addition, the government will launch the Care Teams Outstanding Service Award Scheme to recognize outstanding teams. The HAD will continue to implement the Klansman Culture Promotion Scheme, with Uniting Klansmen in Hong Kong being the focus in 2025. We'll provide funding support for Klansmen associations to organize activities, thereby facilitating patriotic education and promoting the spirit of loving the country. Thank you.
We now hear from the Secretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism. Thank you, Chairman. Our paper sets out the key measures on the cultural and creative industries and sport in the 2024 policy address. And I'll give a brief overview of such measures on culture with the support of the National 14th Five-Year Plan. The SAR government gives full play to our cultural resources that blend Eastern and Western trade and extensive global connections under the institutional strength of one country, two systems. This way, we realize Hong Kong's strategic role as an East meets West center for international cultural exchange and complement our country's overall cultural and development. In April this year, we set up the Chinese Culture Promotion Office, which is tasked with coordinating and promoting programs about Chinese culture and history. The CCPO will keep delivering projects at different levels to promote Chinese culture to the public. In the northern metropolis, we will set up a museum showcasing national development and achievement. That museum will focus on our country's development and major achievements over the years in history, politics, the economy, and culture. Before this museum opens, the Leisure and Cultural Services Department will showcase such content through phased exhibitions in the dedicated gallery of the Hong Kong Museum of History. We will revitalize a historic building in the Kowloon Park, Tsim Sha Tsui, and build a new annex to set up a Chinese Culture Experience Center as an iconic base for promoting Chinese culture and fostering the integrated development of culture and tourism. The LCSD will also turn the Chinese Cultural Festival into Hong Kong's annual arts and culture brand as a way of enhancing the public's sense of national identity and cultural confidence. Exhibitions of the General History of China series will continue, showcasing key periods in China's history from the Xia, Shang, Zhou dynasties all the way to modern China. In 2025, the exhibition will feature the Qin and Han dynasties. The LCSD will also keep up with the protection and preservation of intangible cultural heritage by organizing the Hong Kong ICH Month in June every year to enhance public appreciation of the finest of traditional Chinese culture. The Cultural and Creative Industries Development Agency will launch a new funding scheme through the Film Development Fund to support the film industry in producing films which promote Chinese culture. Creators will be encouraged to incorporate Chinese cultural elements in films to showcase the fine traditions of Chinese culture to local and global audiences. The scheme will be open for applications in 2025. We will also release the blueprint for arts and culture and creative industries development soon. In light of the diverse views on the arts and culture sectors and socioeconomic changes over the past year or so, we amend our draft repeatedly. The blueprint will cover 4 directions. 1. Promoting the finest of traditional Chinese culture with unique features of Hong Kong's culture. 2. Promoting the development of diverse arts and culture with an international perspective. 3. Creating a global platform fostering arts and cultural exchange between China and the rest of the world. 4. Improving the ecosystem of the arts, cultural, and creative industry. The CCIDA will support Hong Kong's design industry in serving as a platform and keynote for the design industry chains from the mainland and overseas. We will help local cultural and creative designers to create more products featuring both Chinese and Hong Kong culture. We will facilitate the registration of more local and non-local cultural and creative products on the Asia IP Exchange portal. We will give greater support to local original works entering the mainland and global markets. We will strengthen long-term industry development in the West Kowloon Cultural District with key measures in 4 areas. 1. Promoting the creation of a comprehensive art trading ecosystem in Hong Kong and to build up Hong Kong's strengths in art trading. 2. Hosting or securing the hosting of more high-profile international cultural, creative, and commercial events with strong visibility and revenue-sharing potential to be held in the WKCD. 3. Organizing and curating performing arts programs and exhibitions to enhance the WKCD's profile and influence. And 4. Rolling out more special experience activities and stepping up worldwide promotion to brand WKCD as a landmark for cultural and creative tourism. Since the launch of the Mega Arts and Cultural Events Fund, arts and cultural events of different forms and genres have been held. These events have made a positive difference for the local arts and cultural scene. We have taken stock of our experience over the past year or so. We have reviewed the fund's operation and funding model. This led to recommended adjustments. We will announce the details in due course. On sports, Hong Kong's athletes have done very well in international competitions in recent years, with particularly inspiring results at the Paris Olympics and Paralympics. The government will seize this opportunity to keep pursuing development in the local sports scene in the domains of community sports, elite sports, mega sports events, professionalism in sports, and sports as an industry. We will further enhance support for elite athletes. The government has invited the Hong Kong Sports Institute to review the direct financial grants to elite athletes so that the training regime better meets athletes' real needs. This review is due for completion in the first half of next year. We will continue to secure resources for sports and recreational venues. The work includes starting the preparations for building a swimming facility fit for hosting international competitions and an arena with fencing training and competition facilities. We will support new sports as well. The pilot scheme on subvention for new sports will be regularized. There are plans to promote new sports in the community, open to the public, in 2025 to 26. The Sports Federation and Olympic Committee of Hong Kong, China will conclude the review of the governance and operation of national sports associations with recommendations forthcoming within this year to ensure NSAs operate with efficiency for athletes with potential to shine in a fair and professional environment. The Kai Tak Sports Park will open in the first quarter of next year. We will keep working closely with the operator and other government departments to ensure the park's successful completion, followed by commissioning, so that it will become a new landmark of Hong Kong. We're reviewing the success of the various enhancements to the M-Mark system, with the next round of enhancements to follow. This is to uphold the quality and attractiveness of the system and to enhance the appeal of M-Mark events to tourists in an effort to cement Hong Kong's status as a city of international mega sports events. The S7OC has secured the bid to host the 2026 Association of National Olympic Committees General Assembly. We will fully support and guide the S7OC in hosting this key event so that it becomes a success. Hong Kong will team up with Guangdong and Macau in co-hosting the 15th National Games in 2025. We're working with relevant policy bureaus and departments in an all-out effort to take forward the preparations. We will work with Guangdong and Macau in the year to come on joint publicity and promotion of the Games. Over the past 2 years, we pursued various policy measures while fostering the synergy of culture, sports, and tourism. We will continue to work through the Tourism Strategy Committee set up in January this year to further speed up the development of the arts and cultural industries and tourism and foster their transition to higher quality development. I now highlight measures to foster the integration of culture, sports, and tourism. Within this year, we will release the development blueprint for Hong Kong's tourism industry 2.0. The focus will be on plus tourism, covering culture, sports, ecology, and mega events. There will be more measures on in-depth integration with tourism to drive its development. The Hong Kong Tourism Board will pursue various publicity and promotion campaigns with flagship events such as the Hong Kong International Dragon Boat Races and the Hong Kong Cyclothon to be held in an effort to fuse culture with sports and tourism. The goal is to attract more inbound visitors and enrich their traveling experience. Looking ahead, we will keep promoting the development of Hong Kong's arts, culture, and creative industries and sports as we foster the integrated development of culture, sports, and tourism. Our work will continue to put into practice Hong Kong's strategic role as an East meets West center for international culture exchange. We will keep promoting community sports, elite sports, mega sports events, professionalism in sports, and sports as an industry. And we welcome questions from members. So now the floor is open for questions. All electrical members are invited to join this meeting. If members wish to speak, please press the Request to Speak button. So here are the members waiting to speak. Mr. Brave Chen, Mr. Kenneth Leung, Ms. Chen Yunming, Ms. Maggie Chen, Mr. Michael Tin, Ms. Chen Hao-Yan, Mr. Benson Look, Mr. Kenneth Falk, Mr. Vincent Chen, Ms. Connie Lam, Dr. So Chen Wing, Ms. Nixie Lam, followed by me. So 14 in total. Let's do 4 minutes for each member. Questions and answers inclusive. Please be brief. 4 minutes. There are 2 secretaries here taking questions. So all questions and answers in one go? Yes. Let's do 5 minutes each round instead. Let's make good use of the time. We should have enough time. So we have to keep up with the secretary's speed. Please be brief with your questions. That way you allow enough time for the replies. Let's start with Mr. Brave Chen. 5 minutes. Thank you. So first part, questions for Ms. Alice Mack. I'm grateful for the policy address. The PA proposes regularizing funding for care teams. Even in these circumstances, the funding goes up slightly for our volunteers. We're not really getting extra money. We're simply helping with the rising costs. It would be great if care teams can hire administrative and support staff. That would be great. Now, the district committees rather, it would be better to have the involvement of the district committees on care teams. But overall, I commend the PA's measures and I support the measure. Now I turn to a question for Mr. Kevin Yeung. Director Xia Baolong stressed development in tourism. We cannot and should not bank on our old formula. We cannot bank on a single formula. We propose different kinds of tourism: blue, green tourism, heritage tourism, so that we have not just tourism everywhere, panda tourism. We should also do yacht tourism and other forms of tourism. We cannot stop people from visiting the mainland for shopping and dining, but here, where we can, during the Chinese New Year or during other holiday seasons, can we let more mainland cars come here for shopping and dining? Can we get those people to come here for our yachts here? Let's make the most of our facilities here. Dear peers, can we package our facilities so that with the same cost we can cater to more visitors? Can we break new ground? I know the CSTB and the Commissioner for Tourism are working on this. There is work going on working panda theme, on creating a panda-themed space on either side of Victoria Harbour. That way, we can better meet the expectations of the Chief Executive and Director Xia Baolong. Ms. Alice Mack. We have 452 care teams. All of them are volunteers. They don't get paid, not even subsidy. The funding will go up by 50% for care teams. That's for the expenses of care teams. Care teams provide services. Up to October this year, care teams visited 230,000 households. 23,000 minor repairs for household appliances were performed. Care teams also helped buy things that people urgently needed. So the funding goes to such services. There's also part of the funding that will go to administrative support because some paperwork is involved. So part of the funding will go into administrative work. Now, on getting the government officials involved at meetings of area committees, we are already inviting departmental representatives to attend area committee meetings. Mr. Kevin Yeung.
We share the same views with Mr. Brave Chen. We need to promote and roll out different tourism products in Hong Kong to lure tourists. In the policy address, we propose making use of our shoreline as well as islands and cultural heritage with characteristics to promote the development of the tourism industry. We may promote horse racing, and we will, for example, make use of our pandas to lure visitors to come to Hong Kong. The Deputy Chief Secretary for Administration is also leading a working group to help develop tourist hotspots in Hong Kong. Mr. Kenneth Leung. Thank you, Chairman. I have a question for Ms. Alice Mack. This year's policy address mentions that there will be some bases for young people. One will be in Kai Tak and the other one will be in Nam Cheong, which is for the Youth Link. The third one is the Youth Square, which will be renovated. Understand that the HYAB will invite NGOs to run these platforms. For the one in Nam Cheong, as well as the one for the Youth Link, Will you incorporate views of young people? We have the district youth community building committees. Will you incorporate their views so that these facilities will better cater to the needs of young people? My other question is about sports. The first one is about the review on corporate governance of NSAs. The report on the findings will be released later this year. I know that the structure of NSAs will be enhanced. Will this responsibility fall on SFOC? Or will there be guidelines guiding NSAs to do that? There's a policy that promotes exchanges between Hong Kong and the mainland on sports. The sports subsidy schemes will cover venues in the Greater Bay Area, including baseball courts. I know that different sports associations are making use of these venues for training and competitions. Will you make use of these venues to promote exchanges between athletes in Hong Kong and the mainland? Lastly, on the Kai Tak Sports Park, I'm glad to see that the first test run was successful. There have been views that sports events should be held as test runs. There will be convention and exhibition facilities as well in the sports park. Will you test the catering facilities as well as the exhibition and convention venues in the sports park? After the sports park is commissioned, all the facilities inside the park will be used. For example, will you do a test on how the food waste will be handled? All these facilities need to be tested. Mr. Kevin Yeung. On the first question about reforming NSAs, we will do it together with the SFOC. The SFOC will work with the NSAs. The SFOC will come up with a report. It will give recommendations on how to improve the corporate governance of the NSAs. And we will roll out the measures based on these recommendations. Within this year, we will launch these measures. Of course, we will also lead our NSAs on the reform with the SFOCs. We like venues for some of these sports activities. There are more of these venues in the mainland. We'll make use of venues in the mainland for training, for example. We will talk to the different NSAs about the arrangement. As for whether we'll make use of the mainland venues for competitions or matches, we will study the matter further. The idea is that some of the subsidies under the subvention scheme can be used for hiring venues in the mainland. There are different stages to the test runs of the Kai Tak Sports Park. We emphasize crowd management in the test runs. In the first test run, we conducted drills in the Kai Tak Youth Sports Ground. And a few weeks later, we will test out other facilities. As for catering facilities and other facilities, they will be brought into the park in phases. In the process, if we encounter any difficulties or challenges, we will deal with them as soon as possible. Ms. Alice Mack. The answer to Mr. Leung's question is yes. We will listen to young people's views when we take forward our initiatives. When we design the Youth Link base in Nam Chung, we will consult the two committees as well as members of the Youth Link. At the Youth Square, we're going to roll out an initiative. That is, we will give opportunities to young people to tell us how they want us to design the base. Ms. Chen Yutming, please try not to overrun. Thank you, Chairman. I thank the two secretaries for their opening remarks. I have some questions. First, on esports. I noticed that there was a live broadcast of an esports competition, and I asked my assistant, and my assistant told me that it was one of the most popular competitions in the world. My assistant told me that esports are very popular among people, and it is an item in the Asian Olympic Games. However, due to COVID, as well as other reasons, there's been less promotion about esports, and there's no mention about esports in the two secretaries' reports. So my question for the HYAB is, what is its role in promoting esports? Also for CSTB, it is an Asian Youth Games item. Are there any plans to develop esports in Hong Kong? I hope the CSTB can tell us more about the development of esports in Hong Kong through written submissions. Also, I'd like to follow up on my oral question about the Kai Tak cruise terminal. I suggested to the government that it could ask the central government to send out ships to Hong Kong so that there can be exhibitions held. I understand that it could be complicated to arrange for mainland warships to come to Hong Kong. However, I believe members of the public would like this idea. Yes, Ms. Mack? Esports is popular among young people. It's been popular for a very long time. For those who pay attention to youth development, you would know that esports has been popular. Young people in Hong Kong, they are outstanding, and if we give them opportunities, they will be able to develop their potential and achieve results. At the district level, we hold esports competitions. We encourage young people to take part in esports activities. I think we need different parties' support, including members of this council, to help build the atmosphere and culture. We should encourage young people to make different attempts, and esports could be an attempt for them. Ms. Kevin Yeung, we've been paying attention to the development of esports by different sports organizations in the world. We will keep in view the development of esports around the world in terms of, for example, the training of people to take part in esports. A few years ago, the Cyberport helped promote esports. And we, of course, will continue to allocate resources into promoting esports. In terms of inviting aircraft carriers and warships to come to Hong Kong, where appropriate, we will express our wish to the central government. I believe members of this council can also raise their opinions to the central authorities on different occasions. I believe the central authorities will be happy to listen to our views. Ms. Maggie Chen, I have questions about family and women's development. I thank the two secretaries for their briefings. I'd like to commend the efforts of the HYAB on its work on family and women. Since the setting up of the dedicated women affairs team, it has yielded results. I hope there can be continuous efforts on its work in this area. I thank the government for taking on board my views to roll out the Hong Kong Excellent Family Award. Secondly, I'd like to ask Ms. Mack. There is a dedicated women's affairs team within the government. There is also the Commissioner of Women. Will you continue to study the launching of a women's development blueprint? We have a youth development blueprint. For women, we need such a blueprint as well. Paragraph 14 of the paper mentions about core family values. Will there be activities or support to enhance the cohesion in the community? What are the core family values that you are referring to here? Will you review the effectiveness of the Women's Commission to see if its work is in line with the government's policy initiatives? Ms. Alice Mack. I thank Ms. Maggie Chen for her comment. I thank her for her recognition of our work in family and women's development. As mentioned by Ms. Chen, we have been working and reaching out to different sectors to take forward different initiatives for women's development and family development. So we have set up the dedicated women's affairs team. We have the women's commissioner. Also, under the Women Empowerment Fund, we are allocating $20 million per year. On the family front, we have a new subsidy scheme. Through these initiatives, we want to build a culture at the community level to encourage the development of women as well as families. In October this year, as mentioned in my opening remarks, we held the first Women's and Family Summit, and a lot of members of this council took part in the summit. We also invited representatives of the Women's Federation in Hong Kong, in the mainland, as well as different representatives from the different provinces in China to join the summit. As Ms. Fu Yin said, in the summit, the mainland is working hard on promoting women's work. Moving forward, we will continue to step up publicity on our work in women's and family development. We'll also support the Women's Commission in taking forward their initiatives. Through the Hong Kong Excellent Family Awards, we will promote good family values, and we will work with the Family Council on this. There are different working groups under the Women's Commission, and there has been a restructuring of these working groups. Same for the Family Council. It's launching a new scheme.
Mr. Kevin Yeung, anything to add? If not, let's move on to the next member, Mr. Michael Tien. Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Yeung, here's a question. You may consider this to be a high-level question, but I want to hear your ideas. Tourism used to fall under the CEDB, Commerce and Economic Development Bureau. Tourism was all about economic benefits. More people for hotels, charging people for admission to a park, for example. Now, tourism is under the Culture, Sports and Tourism Bureau. So, is economic development still part of the CSTB's key performance indicator, or is it simply about the best experience, the highest visitor number, the best reputation? Of course, these factors matter. Say for a mega event, fireworks, drones, people come here, watch the show, and they leave. I fail to see the economic benefits. 300,000 people came here for the fireworks. What about the economic benefits? No idea. What about the KPI for the fireworks? I have no idea. Mr. Yeung, you are now organizing mega events. Sure, I support mega events, but we're doing mega events without the infrastructure. Let's look at the Kai Tak Sports Park. That park is a major piece of infrastructure. 500,000 people. We can get international pop stars like Coldplay. There will be 4 shows. 70% of the spectators will be from overseas. People will come here and stay in hotels. But we cannot count on the Kai Tak Sports Park alone. I have been calling for a race circuit in Sunny Bay for a long time. Let's look at the Southern Lantau. It's supposed to be a holiday resort and place for eco-recreation. We want families to come to our beautiful coastline, and then they spend another week at Disneyland. That will bring economic benefits. Director Xiao Baolong also asked us to move faster with upgrading tourism and also making use of our coastline for holiday resorts. So who's in charge? Does Mr. Yeung handle all this? Will our secretary talk to our hotels what's needed? Please be brief in your question. The industry wants to redevelop the tennis court at the Victoria Park. But then we have hardware constraints. We cannot get the top 5 tennis players to come here and play at the Victoria Park. If we can have better hardware, then we can have the best tennis players around the globe here. And then we will have visitors from the entire Southeast Asia. People will come here for 7 days. They stay at hotels for the tennis matches. But let's look at the Grand Slam. You have to have the matches outdoors. In Kai Tak, you only have an indoor place. I'm sure the chairman has heard of the Grand Slam. So can we give thought to doing something about the Victoria Park? Last Saturday, we went to an event. We saw the secretary's name. Many visitors were there from the mainland and overseas, but then the secretary did not show up. I'm sure the secretary had other engagement, but the secretary should have let people know in advance so that people wouldn't be left disappointed. That's just a friendly reminder. So I will be struggling to stay within the time limit. I will try to be brief. Tourism is developed at the panel on economic development at the Legislative Council. We had a discussion about the economic benefits of tourism. All in all, tourism contributes to our economy. Meanwhile, we also have to consider visitors' experience. It's not either or. Tourism drives the economy. We want tourists to have a good time here. That's how they will spend money. We shouldn't look at each project individually. We want Hong Kong to be attractive as a whole. Take hiking, for example. We shouldn't be charging people for hiking here. Hong Kong should offer a wide range of options so that visitors come here, they stay for a number of days. People come here for the fireworks and then they go for the dining options here. They stay here. That's one way to demonstrate our appeal. Now, I will go deeper into other areas when we get a chance another day. Now, on what happened last Saturday. There was a typhoon last Saturday. Many events were lined up over the weekend. We had to make many changes at short notice. So I had to reshuffle my appointments on that day. We explained to the organizer, but probably the organizer did not explain the change to the member. That organizer also thanked us for the support we gave them. Chairman, the secretary did not address the point about the development in Southern Lantau. So who's in charge? Who's in charge over the project in Southern Lantau? So please wait for your second round. So anything about tourism, we will get involved. Mr. Tin, you spent more than 4 minutes on your questions. I gave the secretary 2 minutes extra to give you a reply, so let's make good use of the time and stay within the time limit. Ms. Chen Hoyan. First, a question for Ms. Alice Mack. Last year, the care teams became operational. This year, the policy address proposed regularizing the funding and increasing the funding by 50%. So here's an idea. I wonder if it works. Can we form a network of care teams? In Yau Chim Wang, with New Lucky House, there was a blaze. Maybe there were fire safety professionals on the care teams of other districts. So can we have this platform forming this network of care teams? There are people struggling with emotions and mental health issues. Here, professional help will be helpful. So you may have a healthcare professional on the care team in other districts. Care teams will become stronger when we can have care team members from other districts help out. So let's have this platform. When something comes up, we can get care team members from other districts. Can this work? Would that be a better way to use our resources? There are senior care team members. But what about attracting younger people to join care teams? So when people sign up for the youth post, can we invite people to join the care teams so that they get priority in accessing the housing? So that's one way to attract young people to join the care teams. Now I turn to tourism. Director Xia Baolong was at this seminar for business leaders. Director Xia urged us to move faster with upgrading tourism. We have 1,180 kilometers of coastline and 263 islands. LegCo has already produced a piece of research on islands. The research covered challenges in accessibility to islands. That's because the island trails are broken up because of ownership issues. I know this may fall outside the scope of the CSTB, but my question for the Secretary for Culture, Sport and Tourism: do we have any ideas? Can we link up the Round the Island Trail? Now, most of the harborfront is under the management of the LCSD. But the LCSD manages parks. They don't do catering. So all the catering we get along the harborfront is snacks. We don't get restaurants like what you see overseas. So can we make better use of our coastline? So first, over to Ms. Alice Mack. We already have such an arrangement. Every team running a care team has to state that they can mobilize people across districts and they need partners in other districts. A care team is already supposed to have partners and the ability to mobilize outside their own district. At the district level, we have more than just care teams. At New Lucky House, during the blaze, we mobilized several care teams, not just from Yao Chin Mong. We even had people from the Eastern District care teams, and then you also have people from the 3 district committees, area committees, fire safety committees, and district fight crime committees. We already have this network. The member also mentioned recruiting volunteers for care teams. Again, we already have an arrangement at Youth Link and the youth hostels, and also at the district youth committees. We are already getting people staying at youth hostels to work as volunteers on care teams. Every year, people have to do 200 hours of volunteering when they stay in youth hostels. We also recruit young people to help out on care teams. So there are different ways for us to recruit volunteers for care teams. Over to your Secretary, Mr. Kevin Yeung.
個海濱點樣？
Now, on building on the harbor front, of course, we need joined-up development. For tourism, we need not just the coastline, but also the water. We will also be looking at the lighting on either side of the Victoria Harbour. Mr. Benson Look. I will ask questions about youth development and film development. The current term government has concrete plans on youth development and it has achieved real results. Youth hostels, we see tangible results. This policy address shows another tangible result, and that's the youth post. There are hostels, youth, culture, and sports exchange. This is a key project in government-led initiatives in youth development. The paper mentions tendering documents. So this tendering document will be crucial. So can the government tell us, for the youth post, how much public money will be involved? The facility will be temporary. How long will the facilities be run? How many people do we aim to serve? Can the government tell us so that we know what to expect? Now, on film development, it's about promoting Chinese culture. I worked at a company that produces films and runs cinemas. Funding the sector so that they incorporate elements of Chinese culture in films is the right way to go. Will this scheme also be open to films with more commercial elements. Commercial films will target a larger audience, and that will mean covering more people. So can we allow more commercial films to also apply to this scheme? Now, on more boutique or niche films, they can also help spread Chinese culture, but building this audience base will be a challenge. So can we also allow niche films to apply for the scheme? Maybe producers of these niche films can team up with cinemas so that more people can watch films promoting traditional Chinese culture.
Mr. Kevin Young. We welcome films with commercial elements to apply for this funding. As said by the member, films with commercial elements can also help promote Chinese culture because it can reach a wide audience. However, we have to look at the plot as well as the theme. We don't differentiate or categorize commercial films with niche films. We look at individual applications and we decide on a case-by-case basis whether we will approve the application. Ms. Mack, on the youth post-hostel, the HYAB has been organizing lots of exchange and internship programs. We encourage two-way exchanges. We encourage young people from other places to come to Hong Kong. So the youth post-hostel can provide a space for exchanges between local young people as well as young people from other places. As mentioned, our target is by the end of this year, hold tendering exercise for the hostel. We will give 5 years for operators to run this facility. The operator will turn the isolation facility into a hostel. Also, there should be spaces for young people to have exchanges on arts, culture. The operator, when submitting the tender documents, will have to tell us about their plans. We will see which operator is creative enough to make good use of the space and attract young people from different places to come to Hong Kong to enjoy this facility. We also have to look at whether the plan can help facilitate exchanges among young people. So we ask the operators to include all these details in the tender document. Mr. Kenneth Falk. I want to focus on the youth post hostel as well. The HYAB is responsible for this project. The key word here is hostel. It means it will provide accommodation, and also arts and cultural exchanges will be an important element. We are building Hong Kong into an East-Meets-West center for cultural exchanges. We like art residencies. This is because the costs in Hong Kong are high. For people to come to stay in Hong Kong, it incurs a high cost. Say, Abu Dhabi, the NYU has a lot of residencies there, so artists can stay there for 2 to 6 months. They do not just go there to perform. They have exchanges with the local universities in Abu Dhabi to pass on their knowledge about arts and culture. I know that you're drafting the tendering document now. I hope you can adopt an open mind when you draft this document so that you will allow residency programs to be held in the youth post-hostel. Also, on youth development, understand that this hostel will focus on young people. However, you should allow young people as well as people of different ages through the art residency schemes to come to Hong Kong. Will you consider not setting an age limit to the art residencies programs? Can you ensure flexibility in your tendering documents so that people who are interested in running this hostel can come up with different ideas? Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. I thank Mr. Falk for the comment. This is in line with our views. We also hope to implement art residencies through the hostel. That's why when I replied to Mr. Look's question, I said that future operators will have to include in their tendering document about our plans. They are going to run this hostel for 5 years. Apart from providing the bidding price, they'll have to tell us how they are going to make good use of this space. It's hard to have a space in the urban area for exchanges for young people. We want young people from different places to come to Hong Kong, and it's hard for us to come up with a facility or a site like this. So we hope that through this open tender exercise, interested organizations can tell us about their plans. For example, they can implement the art residencies program through this hostel so that we can make use of this facility to foster exchanges among young people from Hong Kong and those from other places. Mr. Kevin Yeung, anything to add? All right, Mr. Vincent Chang. Chairman, I'd like to thank the HYAB as well as the CSTB for their effort over the past year. I see that the two bureaus have done a lot over the past year. The HYAB has spent a lot of effort in rolling out different activities. The HAD has also been very creative and innovative in taking forward their initiatives. 2 days ago, we saw a year countdown of the National Games. We're all looking forward to the Games, and I understand the Kai Tak Sports Park will be commissioned. In the policy address, it's mentioned that sports events will be hosted in the park. There have been different sports competitions like Tennis Open as well as basketball games, which can draw a lot of audiences. Are you in talks with any organizations to hold different games? The General Administration for Sports have some ideas, and they have been in talks with different provinces in the mainland. Also on holding major sports events, I declare that I'm a member of the MMARC Scheme Committee. According to the paper, 18 MMARC events were held in Hong Kong. I think that these events have been very successful, and I wonder if more publicity can be launched for these events. There will be the Rugby Sevens event in March. Can we talk to the airline companies so that they can help promote about these events? Can they encourage people from the Middle East to come? I know that the government is reviewing the MMARC scheme. I hope you can ask the organizers of MMARC events to do more. Mr. Kevin Yeung. We're reviewing the subsidies granted under the MMARC schemes. We want organizers to work more closely with different sectors, including hotels, airlines, as well as the F&B sector. This will ensure the success of the event, and it will bring economic benefits to the relevant sectors. Different organizers have their own considerations. I think there need to be more communications. When we grant the landmark status to the organizer, we have to set out clearly our thoughts and requirements so that we can have more landmark events in the city. However, we also have to respect the organizers. They may want to disclose certain details at a later stage, and we need to respect that. The overall direction is in line with what was proposed by Mr. Chang just now. On holding major sports events with more sports venues such as the Kai Tak Sports Park, we're going to focus on two directions. First, we want to hold more major sports events. Like Mr. Chang said, over the weekend, there was a tennis game which saw its opening in the mainland. We want these to be held regularly in Hong Kong in the future. For example, we have the Rugby Sevens event. We want to strive for the hosting and staging of different sports events in Hong Kong to not only attract athletes to come, but also visitors from different places. Secondly, with more sports venues, when the Hong Kong teams go to take part in different sports events in the world, they can also bring back athletes from different places to the city. Ms. Connie Lam, I want to ask Mr. Kevin Yeung about tourism. Mr. Xia Baolong said a few days ago that Hong Kong should make use of the 1,180 kilometers of shoreline as well as the 260 outlying islands in Hong Kong to develop tourism. The government, when promoting island tourism, it has been focusing on the Lantau Island. It has omitted the potential of Sai Kung. Sai Kung has the most beautiful and longest shoreline in New Territories East. We have different outlying islands there. Every year there is only one Sai Kung Hoi Arts Festival, which is organized by the Tourism Commission. Economy is sluggish in Sai Kung. Have you thought about how to take forward the blueprints by incorporating Sai Kung in your plan? Can you not only focus on Lantau, can you think of making use of Sai Kung as well? On district care teams, we have many care team members who are very enthusiastic and passionate. Some of them told me that there are families with singleton elderly as well as persons with disabilities who need people to help them carry out some repair works. You are increasing the subsidy for care teams by 50%. Can you engage professionals and offer them subsidies to help carry out repair works for needy households? Will you help take out insurance for people through care teams? Care team members are keen to offer help.
We first hear from the SCST, Mr. Yeung. Now, on making the most of our long coastline for tourism and also our islands for tourism, that's also our direction of travel. There's so much potential. We want tourism everywhere in Hong Kong. But developing tourism will require community input as well. The Deputy Chief Secretary is leading the working group on developing tourist hotspots. That working group will first spot a few places with potential, and then we do a pilot. The member suggested places in Saigon. We will consider them. That working group will take forward its work. If the member has places in mind where the Tourism Commission or the Hong Kong Tourism Board can get involved directly, then she can let us know, and we can make things happen. Ms. Alice Mack, I thank the member for concern for care teams. Now, insurance. We have 452 care teams. Before they start their work, they have taken out insurance. We have electrical members from the insurance sector. They support the work of care teams. It wasn't easy to take out insurance for all 452 care teams, but then we got help from our insurance sector lawmakers. Now, there will be extra resources for care teams on whether care teams can hire people to help them out. All care team members work as volunteers. The extra resources we give are for the provision of services. As I said, our care teams provided 23,000 repairs for minor home appliances. Each care team has a partner organization or multiple such partner bodies. Care teams work through their partner bodies, say companies from the mainland China or partner bodies with trade union background. Those people help provide the service. We hope that with more resources, care teams can provide more services for the public. Next, Dr. So Chang-Wing. Thank you, Chairman. The policy address proposes many new measures for district services, youth, women, etc. Funding for care teams will go up by 50%. I think the Home and Youth Affairs Bureau is doing a good job. Now, we have done a review, and the funding will go up by 50%. That will be a welcome step for many. So my question is, care teams have been in operation for a year. Will the Bureau enhance the assessment of care teams' performance? Care teams come to mind whenever we think of social service, but care teams cannot do everything. So, do we have a more focused set of performance indicators for care teams? And can we bring different resources together? Now, there are youth hostels. Applicants, or rather, people living in hostels, have to do no less than 200 hours of volunteering per year. Young people applying for youth hostels come from different trades. Some may have little notion what kind of community service or volunteering service they can provide. So can we get care teams to get young people in youth hostels on board so that the services can be delivered in a more targeted manner? There's that much that care teams can do, but it would be different if care teams can enlist the support of other people. And that may lead to a better outcome, and that's how you can have synergy. And now I turn to my next point. It's for the Culture, Sport and Tourism Bureau. The CSTB has achieved much. I agree with the SCST. For mega events like fireworks, we cannot simply quantify the results. It's about the experience. You have to look at the outcome as a whole. But then when it comes to the infrastructure for mega events and culture, the government should do more. The policy address mentions strengthening the long-term industry development of the West Kowloon Cultural District. I'm almost out of time, so I will be brief. Transport links are poor at the WKCD. There isn't enough transport for tourists to visit the West Kowloon Cultural District. People working at the district are having a hard time commuting to and from their workplace. Look at M Place. The shops there on the ground floor close at 6:30 p.m. No one's around in the evening. Mr. Cavagna, on infrastructure, we will try to provide more infrastructure, and we will keep working with the West Kowloon Cultural District Authority on the issues in that area. Ms. Alice Mack. I thank Dr. So for recognizing the work of the care teams. The member brought up a point. The policy address proposes more resources for care teams. Care teams will also be regularized. This means care teams will be a long-term partner in district governance. So we will review the use of resources of care teams. We will also look at the scope of services and variety of services of care teams. When the time comes when care teams sign the next service agreement, we will come to that. Now, on the performance of care teams, there is a recognition scheme for outstanding volunteers and care team members and also their partner organizations. The member wondered about youth hostel residents. People living in those hostels have to do 200 hours of volunteering. Each youth hostel is run by an organization. Those organizations find the volunteering opportunities for the young people. So young people are already helping out on care teams. And then there are other volunteering options. There's a program on financial literacy, on financial counseling. So residents of youth hostels already have access to volunteering opportunities arranged by the operators of youth hostels, and young people already help out on care teams. Next, Ms. Nixie Lam. Thank you. My question has to do with the youth post in Kai Tak. Other members have asked some of the questions I have in mind. I visited Malaysia. I talked to the young people there. They love Hong Kong, but they complained about the high cost of living here. I wondered, so many people from Hong Kong visit Malaysia, but few from Malaysia visit Hong Kong. Now, this youth post will be a great opportunity for young people overseas to come here. So we will see more exchanges involving young people. Now, there will be a youth festival, and this will become an annual event. We will also have the youth post. So how will the logistics works? Now, we will have the youth post. That will mean accommodation. How can we step up student-level exchanges? How can we regularize that arrangement so that young people from other places can keep coming here and they can form a bond with Hong Kong. That will also help bring in talent. Young people can come here and see for themselves how amazing Hong Kong is, and then these people can consider coming here and putting down roots here. So we have the youth festival, and we have the youth post. Can we have some kind of synergy? Now I turn to female leaders. There's a scheme, a mentor scheme for female university students. So do the students sign up individually or do universities recommend them? My concern is if a school misses the application deadline, that will affect the students. That kind of thing happened in the past. So do we accept applications from individuals? I want to find out how that works. Now, a suggestion. I've been advocating education on adolescence. Hong Kong U Plus already offers some such knowledge. So can we incorporate knowledge about bodily changes in adolescence for girls? That will make a real difference for girls. There are legal constraints, different constraints. You can only access that kind of information from other countries. Please allow time for officials to give you a response. 3 questions from the member for you. First, I thank Ms. Nixie Lam for her questions. In August, we held a youth development summit. Back then, Ms. Lam helped us coordinate the event. She helped arrange for young people from Malaysia to join the summit. And then we had exchange at the Youth Link. We found out young people from other places loved Hong Kong. The Youth Post is a precious facility in an urban setting. We ask the operator to make the most of the facility so that we can have more exchanges with young people from different places. And we need two-way exchanges. Now we have the Youth Development Commission. We have different kinds of youth exchange and youth internship schemes. We want return visits. And when young people from outside come here, they can stay at the Youth Post. Aspiring operators of the Youth Post will have to state what they plan to do. And those paying attention to the webcast today should incorporate the member suggestions. Now, on the She Inspires program, we will work with the relevant working group of the Women's Commission on how the scheme will work. We will invite schools to help us find students. Now, we will also consider other ways of signing up, such as using the Hong Kong Youth Plus. We want young people to sign up for programs through the app. We will consider ways to enrich the content of Hong Kong Youth Plus to put information out there for young people at different stages of development. Now, my turn.
I have 2 questions. One for the HYAB. The SAR government has been attracting capital and business. Our clansmen associations has many networks to link up Chinese people from different places. They have a strong network in Southeast Asia. What Ms. Nixie Lam said inspired me. If we can ensure exchanges in terms of attracting capital and business and developing tourism industry. These exchanges are going to play a pivotal role. Can we make use of the networks of the Klansmen associations in Hong Kong so that they can help bring in cultural and economic benefits? They can also serve as an important channel for us to bring in talent. About the Mega Ace Fund, there was a written question from a member. What is the economic benefit of Mega Ace Fund? In the government's reply, it says that the Mega Ace Fund has been operated for 1.5 years and 17 projects have been approved amounting to $200 million. Some got the 15 million maximum funding. How many people have taken part in this project? How come the government cannot assess the economic benefits brought by the Mega Ace Fund? If you haven't been able to make an assessment, when will you be able to gauge the economic benefits brought by this fund? Ms. Mack, please. Thank you, Chairman, for the question. With the support of the Klansmen associations, well, you may remember that last year the Chief Executive wrote out a Klansmen culture promotions scheme. Under the scheme, different Klansmen associations have applied for funding to hold different exchange activities. They organize exchange activities for people in Hong Kong. Also, as mentioned, we organized the Youth Development Summit. The Klansmen Association stepped in and helped invite young people from different places to join the summit. So we did make use of the network of our Klansmen associations to attract people from different places to come to Hong Kong. We hope that through the promotion scheme, we can bring in young people from different places. The HYAB values the Klansmen associations in Hong Kong. That's why we are implementing the Klansmen Culture Promotion Scheme. Through different programs and projects, we have been in close communication with the Klansmen associations. Mr. Young, we set up the Mega Ace Fund not just to drive the economy. We want to promote arts and culture. We want to factor in the overall development of Hong Kong. In our reply to the members' written question, we said that we had organized some 17 projects with some 4.7 million participants. And this is a substantial increase compared to our estimate of having 2 million participants. In terms of how many visitors we were able to draw through these projects, we could perhaps make an estimate. Based on this data, we can perhaps make an estimate of how much money these visitors spend. However, through these projects, we did not only manage to lure visitors to come. We need more data to be able to assess a visitor's spending. In our reply to the written question, we mentioned that we should not only gauge the effectiveness of these mega events through their economic benefits, we should also look at it from the perspective of promoting arts and culture. Thank you. Mr. Kenneth Lau, I have 2 questions. Both of them are about ecotourism. I have another question about the functions of district councils. I am the chairman of Hearn Yi Kok as well as a district councillor. Sha Tau Kok is part of the tourism project of ecotourism. We hope that we can take forward the scheme of tourism is everywhere in Hong Kong. We want the government to be able to make good use of the resources in the new territories. We have old villages, we have natural landscape, we have shorelines as well as outlying islands. There are also spaces where we can develop yacht economies and water sports activities. This requires cross-departmental efforts as well as relaxation of certain barriers. We want procedures to be streamlined in order to achieve our goals. We need to see the determination of the government, and I hope the Secretary can lead the work in this area. On Sha Tau Kok, part of the frontier closed area has been opened to the public. There are lots of land nearby, and we haven't been able to see people traveling in and out freely of Sha Tau Kok. I understand that the government has a long-term plan to develop the area. We need infrastructure as well as hostels. Members of the rural committees feel discouraged because we haven't seen any concrete plans from the government. We hope to get medium and long-term support from this government. The new term district councils have been focusing on livelihood issues and serving members of the public. There are views that there is overlapping of duties between district council members as well as members of the care teams. Can the government explain about the division of work between DCs and care teams? Is there any overlapping of duties? Mr. Kevin Yeung, on the point about Sha Tau Kok, as mentioned in my report, we want to develop low-density tourism. In the short run, we will roll out facilities to lure visitors. We will put up art pieces and decorations to attract visitors. On relaxation of restrictions, we will talk to the local residents, but the idea is to develop ecotourism and low-density tourism. Ms. Alice Mack. Thank you. After the restructuring of district councils, we see that the 7th term DC has been carrying out very effective work. On district governance, the new term DCs have been playing the role of an advisory body under the Basic Law. This new term DC is a new structure. It is also part of the service team and a long-term working partner of the government. The positioning of the care teams as well as the district councils are clear as stipulated in Article 97 of the Basic Law. Care teams are volunteers. They are long-term partners of the government. So the care teams and district councils have been working together. To give you an example, there was no water supply in Tung Chung, and care teams immediately mobilized members as well as volunteers to help local residents to deal with water supply issues and help them bring water homes. District councillors at the same time helped reflect people's views. They tried to find out where there was no water supply. To give you an example, there was a fire at the New Lucky House, and during those few weeks, we mobilized some 200 volunteers from care teams to help victims of the fire. District councillors also, during those days, reached out to owners' corporations to help them take forward good building management work. So care teams and district councils have been working together so that at the district level they complement each other. Dr. Johnny Ng. Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the two secretaries for their hard work on people's livelihood, arts and cultural development, and youth development work. I have two questions. First, on telling good stories of Hong Kong Youth Program. What are the selection criteria, and where will these stories be broadcast or publicized? On sports development, the government's objective is to promote community sport, elite sport, and sports professionals, etc. Will the government make use of technology to encourage entrepreneurs to start their businesses in sports, and will you do that with other policy bureaus? This involves the use of technology and other policies. I wonder if the administration has anything to share with us in this regard. Mr. Kevin Yeung, on sports development, we want to develop sports as an industry. The idea behind is that we want to make sports an industry, and that we can drive the development of sports. We hold major sports events, and these sports events can help promote other sectors. They benefit sectors that offer training to athletes, for example, and also we need people to help promote the sports events. We need sports products and sports programs and courses. All these help contribute to developing sports as an industry. We can develop sports events into a brand, and then we can make use of the brand to develop an IP. We don't have a dedicated funding scheme on this. However, we are in close communication with the industry to learn about what kind of support they need, so that we can ensure professional development of sports. We hope to roll out more measures in this regard.
Ms. Alice Mack, I thank Dr. Ng for his questions. Now, on the good stories of Hong Kong's youth program, this program will go hand in hand with the conversion of the youth square. At the youth square, we have found space for us to create a place for young people to engage in exchanges and mingle with one another. There will be video studios. Once we have the hardware, we can launch the Good Stories of Hong Kong Youth program. Then we will have training on software. And that means at the new video studio, young people will learn to make videos and do live streaming and taking advantage of other kinds of online resources to unleash their creativity. As I said earlier, the Home and Youth Affairs Bureau aims to take on board and hear from young people's views. So we will be gauging young people's views so that we can find a way to turn the space in Youth Square into a place for young people's exchange. And then we design this video studio. And then we can have young people doing live streaming, or young people can pursue publicity online. And then we can make the Good Stories of Hong Kong Youth program a success. So we're done with the first round of Q&A. No member will be speaking for the second round. So any other questions from members? If not, I will conclude this item. Now, any other business? No other business? So that concludes the meeting. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.